we already reviewed for Walt Whitman, right? We have already reviewed for Walt Whitman. So now we are going to look at Emily Dickinson. All right. For Emily Dickinson, number one, you do not need, once again, no numbers. You don't have to learn the numbers of the poems, okay? We did look at, I will tell you what poems we looked at by number, but you do not have to fill in the blank with the poem number because it depends on which edition you're looking at and all that. But on page, okay, this is Dickinson, Emily Dickinson. Okay, poem number 1129 on page, and I'm only putting this up here so that you can find it, page 1057 to 1058. Okay, here's what I might. I mean, you need her poems are so short. You kind of have to know all the lines. That's all I can tell you. On Emily Dickinson, the poems are so short, you need to know all the lines. I don't mean you have to have the poem memorized. You don't have to write the whole poem down, but you need to be, if you can't tell me that Tell All the Truth But Tell It Slant is by Emily Dickinson, there's a problem. Or if you can't tell me that As Lightning to the Children Used with Explanation in Kind, the truth must dazzle gradually or every man be, you should be able to recognize that's Emily Dickinson. Especially considering that we only have 2 poets, and Whitman wouldn't write something rhyming that's that short, right? You should be able to recognize that, okay? Now, what I will ask you to do that's different on this test, you will need to explain, I want you to be able to explain the lines in 1129. I will probably ask you to explain what she's saying about truth. So you've got to go back and look at the videos on Dickinson and your notes and that sort of thing. So you will need to be able to recognize lines and explain poem 1129 or parts of it, okay? Such as if I gave you the lines, as lightning to the children eased with explanation kind, the truth must dazzle gradually or every man be blind. It's that whole thing about the truth is so big.
We need to be let down easy.
We need to be let down easy. Even if it's good truth, to see God in His fullness would blind us. Good truth would blind us. So God lets us know the truth. And Jesus let us know the truth through parables rather than, you know, plunking it on our heads, right? I mean, it's not just the whole truth all at once. So you will need to, you know, you want to talk about just like we tell children about the lightning by saying it's God bowling or whatever. So also God or the truth must come to us slowly. And I will be jumping for joy and maybe giving you even more points on the answer. If you say that that is what Dickinson does through her poetry, because poetry allows us to slowly see the truth, right? It conveys the truth, but it doesn't do it like straightforward in a straightforward way. Just like with Keats' urn, right? It holds ashes, but he doesn't say, if you never have real love, then your love won't produce anything if it's just in your head, but then if you have real love, you're going to die. I mean, that sure doesn't sound very nice, you know? It's the tension between that ideal truth and that sort of thing. So you can, that's just an example of how poetry works, that Keats' urn conveys all of these things without saying it outright. And he allows us to kind of feel it and experience it. Poem number 712. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves in immortality. Again, you need to know that poem. It's poem number 712 on page 1056. Number 712 on page 1026.
56.
what did I say? 56, sorry, 56, 1056. Sorry about that, 1056. Poem number 712 on page 1056, okay? This one is about death, and it's about how she doesn't have the time to stop for death, so death picks her up. It's polite, gentlemen call her. The school is like when they pass the school, it's her childhood, passing the fields of gazing grain, she's growing up. And then the setting sun is her death. She's not really prepared to be dead because she's dressed in a wedding gown. And then there's this whole thing of since then to centuries and yet feels shorter than the day. Death seems kind of pleasant there, right? She says, oh, I died centuries ago, but I sure don't feel like I've been here that long. It's kind of been nice. So, you know, a pleasant vision of death. And then number 465, number 465 on page 1054 is one of those poems that has the sort of we'll pause for a moment.
Slow.
Okay. All right, page 1054, number 465. This is that one where we get it's ambiguous. It's ambiguous about death. Or maybe ambivalent is a good word. Ambivalent. Meaning it's not clear or it goes in both directions about whether death is pleasant or scary. Are we actually?
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah, just go with it.
Okay. The question will be about 1129 when I'll say something like explain what she's saying about truth, and then I'll say, and you could get those extra points by saying that that's what she's doing in her poetry, such as 712, where death looks nice, and in 465, where it's ambiguous or ambivalent. There's a kind of, some people say there's an afterness to her poems. You kind of have to get after that, you have to get to the point of having read the whole poem, and then you kind of go, oh, that's what it means. It kind of turns once you get the whole thing, okay? Because there's more to it, and you kind of can't explain the whole thing. You could also use number 449 on page 1053. Number 449 on page 1053. That's another really good one because it's I died for beauty, I died for truth, and then they just talk and it seems so pleasant, and then the moss reaches their lips and covers up their names, and they had died for a great cause. People knew about them because they were the champions of the great cause, but then their names went away when the moss covered up their names and their lips, and so that's kind of creepy. And so is death pleasant or is it to be feared? That sort of thing. So you could use these to talk about this one, to talk about the question, okay? So that's, okay. And you need to be familiar with lines from all of these. Lines from all of them. You need to know them.
Can we bring our book?
No. No. You can't bring your book, but you can use lines that are part of it. Like, I'll give you lines. Okay, one thing. Pardon? Okay, I will give you lines from the poems. And just like before, you'll identify them, but you only need to give Dickinson's name. You do not have to give the number of the poem. You don't, so that's no numbers. Don't worry about the numbers. Just be able to say that it's by Dickinson. Okay? So know the lines from all 1, 2, 3, 4 poems. You want to know lines from all 4, but you could use all 4 also in the essay. Now, Billy Budd. Billy Budd starts on page 995. Okay, I'm going to give page numbers and kind of a quick thing. You need to know page 996 and, yeah, you need to know the names, the name of the first ship and the second ship. He was on the Bellipotent and the right, then he was on the Rights of Man, and then he went to the Bellipotent. Rights of Man, it was a merchant ship, and then you need to know what Bellipotent means. Remember, we had two meanings for that. Bellipotent is either beautiful and strong, or bellum, which would be war and strong. Strong at war or strong and beautiful. Page 998, and you should, if you flip to your page, to these pages, you should have it already highlighted. Who is Apollo with his portmanteau? Who is Apollo with his portmanteau? Billy Budd, yes. Okay, the bottom of that page, 998 to the top of 999. When he was waving goodbye and he wasn't supposed to, is that satire or not? Then that sinister dexterity, you want to know sinister is left and dexter is right. And that's a funny thing to put together.
You're going way too fast.
Page 998 to 990. You should already have all this in your notes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
you
but
should.
I don't have to dig through my notes to find all these little pieces.
What's the part?
That's the whole point. I'm giving you a path to trace through your notes. I'm not giving you the test. Okay, 998 to 999. That's satire and sinister and dexterity. Okay, sinister dexterity. Page 1001.
Wait, you want to know if it is sat? What did you say? I missed that.
Just that line. It's the last two.
Yeah, I haven't highlighted, but what was your question?
Is it that time?
Okay.
Is it? And pause the thing. Pause the know. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm giving you a guide, a map to go through your notes. So what you want to do is I'm just giving you the little places that you'll find the answers here. Okay, page. Page 1012. Know who Jenny Legs is. Jenny Legs, 1012. I would also say, page 1012, know who Chiron is. C-H-I-R-O-N. And Jenny Legs. Okay, Jenny Legs and Chiron on 1012.
Jenny Craig.
1015. No, don't worry about 1015. 1021. Jenny Legs is down on you. Top line on 1021. Jenny Legs is down on you. And then the conclusion. No at the conclusion. Pages 1043. You want to know the whole description of the hanging when he was hanged. That's going to be the bottom half of 1043 to the top of 1044, and the connections to Christ's crucifixion, any kind of biblical references that you can find in that, 1043 to 1044. Okay? And 1048, yes. Explain. You would need to go back and look at them. I can't, can you pause it for a second? Sorry. Also, now go again. Okay, 1048. This is chapter 30. You want to know chapter 30. Okay, you don't have to know the whole long song or poem, but you want to know the prose part and about the spar that's like a chip of the cross. Okay? The spar on page 1048. What is the spar like? Spar on 1048. Okay? Now, that is Dickinson, we've done Whitman, and we have looked at Billy Budd. Now, Hedda Gabler is by Ibsen. Ibsen, Hedda Gabler. Over here. Okay, there we go. 1465, I think. Yes, okay. 1465 is where it starts. A few things that, all right, this time it's your turn. We have talked about this in class enough. What do you think an image would be, or a thing that might, what do you think might be on the test? What's the big deal?
Not
wanting to be pregnant. Lines that say, I am just the same as I was before, or when he says, look how she's filled out. So Hedda, anything about being pregnant, any of those lines about pregnancy, being filled out, or I'm just the same as before. What else do we think about when we think of Hedda?
Well, you said that line, people don't do such things, and then, but good God, people don't do such things, the kind of people we know.
Yes. So good God, do people don't do such things. Okay? Know those two lines, because that was by the judge and that was by Hedda, right? How about what is Hedda's main thing?
She wants to get actually.
She wants, okay, but what do you associate her with?
The carriage and
Two pistols, right? The pistols. Pistols. If I gave you the line, I'm burning his baby.
The quote thing.
The
Yes,
manuscript.
burning his baby is, and who? Loveborg. Right. Burning his baby. His means Loveborg. Loveborg. I think I'm
The
saying.
manuscript.
It's a manuscript. Loveborg's manuscript. You need to know that it's what it is. If I manuscript. If I said burning his baby, I would say who's what or something like that. You know, you would need to say whose it is, what it is. Oh, the hat. Oh, I'm gonna have to get rid of the maid. She left her hat on the chair. You know, something catty like that she says that you just want to go, stop. Right? That might be a possibility, the hat. Yeah, people don't do such things, 1478. Oh, it'll be a kind of duel by Jove. It'll be a kind of duel by Jove, 1481. The contest for the appointment, right? The duel, and it's D-U-E-L, by the way, yeah. Make sure that is clear. D-U-E-L, between Loveborg and Tessman, right? For the job or the appointment as professor. Okay? I don't know why I'm writing it up here in the script. Professor, it just takes longer to write. Okay. Then there's also when Brack talks about, this is page 1487. Suppose you were to find yourself faced with what people call, to use the conventional phrase, the most solemn of human responsibilities. It's on page 1487, right about here on the page. Okay, that responsibility that she doesn't want is motherhood, right? She doesn't want to be a mother, so it's right about there on the page. I kind of think, can anybody think of anything else that you would like to see on the test? You'd like to see not a test?
1 minute.
Okay, yeah, I think that's it. All right.
So the test is